Welcome back, everybody. We're doing the follow-up on the Walther PDP right here. So if you have not been following along the series for the Walther PDP, got off to a little bit of a rocky start with it. The first one I went to pick up from the store, the optics mounting holes were stripped out, so I got a different one. And since then, I have done a bunch of testing, fired a lot of rounds through it, tried some different parts from triggers, got a big bag from Floyd's Custom right here of magwell and magazine extensions to test out real soon. I've got the performance dynamic trigger in there from Walther right now, but I wanted to do the follow-up after I've done a few comparisons now that I've got well over 1,000 rounds for this thing, give you my opinion, talk about what I've learned about it, some of the aftermarket, some of the performance factory parts, so you guys have a really good idea of what you are getting into should you choose to go with the Walther PDP. Right into the range footage on the PDP. So the Walther PDP, I don't know what it is about it or if it's just everything in combination, from the way the grip is, the side swells on there, the way the slide work is, the angles of it. It is one of the most natural pistols that I have ever used out on the range. I can't put my finger on it, or if it's just a combination like I said, but I can step away from this thing for weeks or even months and get back out on the firing line and just run this thing as fast as I possibly can, run it just as fast as everything else in my collection. It's not like other stuff like, say, a Glock or going to a 1911 or something, Glock specifically, where I've got to spend, 5-10 minutes getting used to that wretched angle. You got to force the muzzle down, or the 1911, getting used to the controls on it, the safety, all that stuff. So it's just crazy how it works out like that, but it is a out of the box, just an ergonomically correct pistol, at least for me and those of you that would probably like more natural angles. Now, the Walther PDP and many others are what would be considered a higher bore axis pistol. If you don't know what that means, the center line of the bore right here where the barrel is higher off the grip and where you can get your hand right here, that kind of distance right there, than say like a Glock or some other things out there on the market. And people will often tell you, well, it's got a high bore axis, it's hard to control, you can't shoot it as fast, you can't get as good fast follow-up shots or something like that. And to all of that, I say hogwash, because I can run this thing as fast, if not faster, than just about everything else I own. She just runs sweet and fast. So getting into the trigger, because striker fired setups are not known for having great triggers, and this is a holdback for a lot of people, especially my friend Dale out there in the comments. I know he's going to chime in somewhere on the blade safety on the trigger right there. Now, this one does have the dynamic performance trigger in it right there, which is a factory Walther part, and it is excessively better than even the factory PDP trigger, which is excessively better than most other striker fired triggers. If that confused you, let me know in the comments. But Walther's got a substantially better trigger right out of the box than most things out there. The basic curved one out of the box is going to be really good out there on the range. If you're looking to squeak a little bit of extra performance, they've got you covered with a factory part, which is very easy to get in there and get back out on the range. It's nice. It's just flat out nice. Even the factory one, it's got a really smooth feel. It's got a clean, crisp break, which I'm a huge fan of. And it's got a very good short and tactile reset, so you can get amazingly blazing fast follow-up shots as long as you can control that recoil impulse. When it comes to running this thing out on the range and doing some drills, whether it's drops from the holster, build drills, bare standard drills, transition drills, any of that stuff, this thing just feels very natural. Everything from that mag release, I don't even have to break my grip on that. You see, don't even break the grip. I can get the magazine release, get that mag back in there. I don't have to readjust grip, get right back on target. It just feels extremely natural. I do have a little bit bigger hands than some people out there, so that may not be the case for you. But I think for large, even maybe medium-sized hands, you're gonna find this thing just great. Everything from the trigger, the mag release, the slide stop slide release, all of it just seems to be right where it should be. One of the best things that I have noticed about this is as I draw and I fire my first couple of shots, the return to zero, or the way that it recoils and comes right back down to where I'm aiming on the target, is better than just about every other brand that I have tried. The only thing I can compare it to is maybe the SIG P320X. And I know some people might say blasphemy to that, but for some odd reason, the SIG P320X series just hides my deficiencies. I don't know why. And it returns to zero like that for me. I know that's not the case for everybody. That's just the experience I've had. The Walther is far better at that than the P320 though. It just seems to be that much faster. A couple of other things I notice with the Walther that I don't normally like about other pistols, it has like side swells, no finger grooves up front, but it's got side swells on that grip right there. Now, I'm normally not a fan of things like that, or if I am, it's like the P320X again, where that module just has that minimal one right up at the top to keep that second finger tight up into that trigger guard. For some odd reason, these just seem to fit. They just feel good, kind of like the H&K VP9, which feels like butter in the hand, but didn't perform as well on the range as I was hoping for. So the PDP followed through on the range, and I dig that. Also, it doesn't have an undercut on the trigger guard right there, but it is a massively wide underbody there to help protect that bigger magazine release than a lot of other things out there. And for some odd reason, that just works. It seems to provide just more grip and more meat to get my hands onto when I'm in that pistol grip position out there and firing this thing on the range. I don't know if that's true for everybody. It just happens to be something that I've noticed out there on the range. Talking about feeding this thing, I have run pretty much every type of ammo that I have through it, from my Spirit Gold Dot, Hornady Critical Duty, Hornady Critical Defense, some other, I think Atlanta Arms, hollow point self-defense ammunition, steel ammunition, brass ammunition of every type, from some imported stuff from India, some, I think, Turkish ammo, white box, cellular and bellet, MagTech. I've not had a single problem when it comes to ammo. This thing pretty much chews it up and spits it out exactly as you would expect. And the final thing for the range performance, I don't know again what it is about this thing, but I just enjoy shooting it out there more than most other things I have in my collection. And I think it has to be because I can run it so naturally and so fast that when I do a drill or something, it just puts a massive smile on my face, because it just makes things easy out there. No, I don't know about you. I've had surgery on both hands. I've broken my left arm in half. I've had nerve damage. So when something works for me that good right out of the box, it's a massive positive. Now this Walther specifically is the original, the first version of it. So there have been some changes made to the Walther and then some additional aftermarket parts as well. Initially, when the Walther came out, the portion of the slide up here where the mounting plate for your optic fits onto didn't have any lugs or engagement material. So there were theories going around that it would break off, or if you were, manipulating that slide off of a hard object, that the screws would shear off. So Walther had put out kind of like their design and engineering brief on that to kind of dispel that myth. Ultimately, they got tired of hearing stuff on the internet, so they went and they redesigned the mounting plate in here to have about as much lug engagement as you could have. It looks like a maze on the slide now, pretty much to say eat it to the haters out there. Now, what you need to know about that is if you're buying a different plate or an aftermarket plate, because you don't get the plate with this, you have to email Walther or contact them and they will send you the plate of your choice. So say you buy a C&H Precision, which is one of my favorites in the market, you have to know which generation of Walther you have. It's very easy. One's gonna be completely flat, the other one's got a whole bunch of lines in it. You've got Gen 2. Make sure you order the right plate. And when it comes to the aftermarket direct from Walther, the new Pro version is gonna be out soon. I am waiting on one. I keep just annoying them with emails. It's gonna come fully rigged. It will have this dynamic performance trigger. It will have the mag well, the mag extensions, the taller sights, and overall, having been able to use it out on the range, I can tell you that thing is an absolute monster, and I can't wait to get it because it's a hammer and everything on the range is a nail. So being that this is a well over 1,000, I mean, we're like well over 1,000 on this thing at this point, let's take a very quick up close look at how this thing is wearing in from the barrel to the rails and all that stuff, so you guys can get an idea, if you take care of your pistol and like clean it and lubricate it appropriately, what it should look like. All right, we're gonna take a good close look at how the Walther PDP is wearing in now that it's got well over 1,000 rounds on it. Go ahead and take a quick look at that performance trigger here. You can see that blade safety goes all the way flush on it. Very nice hard wall, break, reset and break. Solid trigger, especially coming from the factory on this one. So we're just gonna take a quick look to see how this is wearing in. We'll start with the barrel here. Very typical slide wear everywhere, all over that. So right there across the top of the barrel, a little bit across the bottom and the sides, very natural for that. Across the hood right there, you can see where the coating is kind of worn off. Very natural all the way around that edge, on the sides, kind of across the back, and then across the opposite inside edges here as well. And then up into those lugs, but everything looks pretty much as it should. No problems there. Looking down on the inside of that slide, you're going to see that same wear where the barrel hood and the interior portion of the slide mate right up in that area right there. Typical wear right across the top right there. Nothing that I would not expect. Coating is holding up great on this slide, on everything here. No issues, very, very minimal holster wear, if any at all, across the front of that. So doing very well. As far as the magazines go, typical wear on those, I've got four or five of these at this point right here, but you can see just that standard wear across that coating, nothing that you should be concerned about. Recoil spring, everything is good to go there. When it comes down to that frame, you're gonna see that natural wear right there on the interior of the locking block, where it's polished off that coating completely, but it's still gonna be protected because that coating permeates into the pores of the metal itself. You'll see the same up here on the outer edges of that rail where it kind of rubs that coating off on the sides right there. Probably should use my pointer tool here to make it easier for you. Right there, you'll see the kind of shiny areas on those rails, completely to be expected. And the same across the back rails right there on both of those sides. Nothing odd, a little bit of coating wear right there across the top of that sear, if you can make that out, right there. So all of that stuff is completely natural, but it's wearing in exactly as I would expect. The last thing, you'll see some of that damage up there on the mag well from doing those magazine exchanges and stuff. Nothing major, but when you hit a metal mag on the polymer doing exchanges, you're gonna get a little bit of gouging and stuff. But I've got the new Floyd's mag well for this coming real soon. And here's the Floyd's mag well right here. Very nice, does a great job on the work they do over there. And I've got the extensions as well. I've got the +4s or +5s, I think these are. And then I've got the flush fit ones as well. The difference on this mag well is you have to kind of cut a little divot right here out of your back strap to make that fit up in there. So I'll do that, I will get that on there and I will do its own video. So let's go ahead and finish this out. All right, so you've seen how this thing is wearing in. You know what my thoughts are on the range of this thing. So has my opinion changed about it since we got off to that rocky start? And what are my overall impressions having had this, compared it directly side by side with multiple other pistols on the range on the same day at the same time, shooting them back to back? I have to say, I like it even more. The more I use this, the more I like it. And if I were in the market today, the Walther PDP would probably be at the top of my list if I was in the price bracket for these things and I was in the market for a new pistol, or I was just starting, or if I didn't like what I had. Either way, the PDP would be what I would go for, numero uno, to see if it's gonna work for me, because everybody's hands are different, everybody's wrist angles are different, and not everybody is going to perform as well with one pistol as compared to the next. But if you like neutral angles, a little bit better ergonomics, and that big, thick, girl, chunky look on there with that super terrain serrated slide, I think this is one to take into account. Now, Walther has also done a couple of other things coming out really soon, like the Pro version, all the goodies on it. So the trigger, the mag well, extended mags, the sights, it's giving you a full custom rig right out of the box, much like Shadow Systems and a few other brands have figured out. However, it's only like, I wanna say like 150 bucks or something like that, more expensive than the original traditional Walther. That's an exceptional value, and I hopefully will have one very soon, possibly in gray, because I know they are making some different colors now. Walther's also doing some other great things. They have come out with a female designed pistol. Some people may look at that as kind of weird. Some people may be put off by that. But remember, everybody's hands are different, and pistols are generally made for the masses. So Walther came out with their F version that was specifically designed and tested for females. I'm gonna get my hands on that as well, because I'm really curious to see what the differences are in these things. I know like Smith & Wesson has done kind of like the easy models and stuff, but I'm curious to see if these kind of more almost boutique firearms are really gonna take off for that targeted market. And probably the best thing about Walther and several other companies, from SIG to Shadow, They're finally figuring out that some of us just don't want the average pistol. Some of us have a little bit more training, a little bit more skill, or are looking for finer details, and they're offering us factory performance parts. That's amazing because they're warranted, they're well tested, and we know we can count on them because we're not buying Bubba Down by the Rivers trigger kit. So awesome there on all of those companies' behalf, but especially Walther for coming for those, especially since they're gonna put them in that new Pro right out of the box. I know that was a ton of information pretty quick, but I don't want the video to go on too long. If you have any other questions, ask them down in the comments below, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on the PDP. I've had several of you get a hold of me and said you have actually switched from other brands, whether it be SIG, Glock, whatever it was, and gone to the PDP after giving it a chance on the range. You need to give things a chance. This is going to feel different due to the weight distribution, but as you've seen in the videos, that whole but my high bore axis thing is largely a myth, okay? You can easily overcome that if you hold on to your pistol in the appropriate way. And with the return to zero and the ergonomics that the PDP has, it just makes life easier if your pistol has a little bit of a higher bore axis, which again, still, I just don't buy into it at this point. That is what I have for you all today. If you're interested in anything you saw here today, I'll leave links down in the description below for you. Check out the build list or tacticalconsiderations.com. That's the first link in the description. It'll take you to where all that stuff is. All of those links help the channel. Well, most of them help the channel. If you want to support me, you can use those. Those are affiliate links. You can check out the Patreon or do all the good stuff that YouTube likes, which is comment, like, subscribe, share, do all that. Turn the bell notification icons on because it's a huge help, and hopefully we'll be over 100,000 or right at it when this video comes out. And that's largely due to you guys and all of the support structure that you've given here for the channel. Get out there on the range and have some fun. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.